College football apostles is here, week 3. I'm your boy George Wrighster, former NFL player, college football player, and analyst for CW. And I'm excited because we go have the South Florida Miami game this week. So make sure you check out your boy and my main man Ralph Amsden, prep sports, college football analyst, and regular encyclopedia about everything that will be in your media guide about a player. We just finished with an amazing week 2 of college football. All sorts of stuff up here on Unafraid Show, George Rice's College Football Podcast, everything in between. But now we got to talk. But College Football Apostles is where we get into the weeds, where we talk about all the things that you really want to hear about as well outside of the actual game itself. So let's get started as we always do. Ralph, what were your 3 big takeaways from week 2 of college football?
Okay, so number one is I never want to hear a cowbell again for the rest of my life.
Oh, sounds like somebody played Mississippi State.
Yes, sir. And you know what? Like it's not bitterness. I promise, it's not bitterness. They beat us. Jeff Levy's a great coach. I think he's doing a fantastic job. I think college football is more fun when Mississippi State is good. The truth of the matter is, I don't watch a lot of Mississippi State home games with the volume on. This was really my first time sitting through 60 straight minutes. And like my son plays for a cowbell team, like a high school cowbell team. I don't even like that. And that's like 70, 80 cowbells. This was like 35,000 cowbells. And apparently there's some like NCAA rules about it that they're grandfathered into. And like sometimes when they're supposed to ring them and not supposed to ring them, they ignore all that. They go hard in the paint, and it's the worst, man. My dogs were hiding under the bed. I had a headache afterward from just watching on TV. It truly, truly sucks. And it's incredible home field advantage, but I hated every minute of it.
Okay, so I completely agree with you that the Cowbells need to go, but for a totally different reason. A totally different reason. Because I don't actually mind the Cowbells. I am the person who was not bothered when the Vuvuzelas or Vivazuelas, however you say them, in the World Cup.
Vuvuzela.
Yeah, when people were all upset, get him away. I was like, I love him. It didn't bother me. But the reason why I hate the Mississippi State Cowbells and why they need to go is because the NCAA banned Oregon and the Ducks. So there used to be these duck quackers that everybody in the stands used to have. I need to find a picture of it. Like these duck quackers. It was the most amazing thing. It made the stadium insufferable. And I loved it. And they banned them. So you know what? Ban the damn Cowbells until you let the Ducks fans bring the quackers back.
I do respect it. It is a hell of a home field advantage. And you could tell that they had been like 14 straight Power Four opponents that they had lost to, because their social media team went so hard after the game, like mocking everybody, dancing on Arizona State's grave. And they deserve to have their fun. Man, I don't know how I honestly don't know how they do it. I mean, I'm sure hearing loss clinics in Starkville, Mississippi, are run by billionaires at this point. The other thing that stuck out to me is that it's very clear, and has always been clear, as this podcast used to be called, the Pac-12 Apostles, that people do not watch West Coast football. They never have, they never will, because the amount of people who tweeted about John Mateer and not knowing he was really like that was I try not to get like mad about stuff I can't control on the internet.
He did the exact same thing he did last year at Washington State.
Yeah.
There was no difference.
And it was, people were surprised about Cam Ward last year, and I just can't do it anymore. By the end of the Oklahoma game, after about 50 tweets, Ryan Clark fired off a like, John Mateer wasn't familiar with your game. And I just like threw my phone on the bed and sat there and pouted. Like, nothing good ever happens for West Coast athletes because people have no idea what's happening on the West Coast ever. John Mateer was a monster. Cam Ward was a monster before him. It just everything always reminds me of Christian McCaffrey not getting
Oh,
the Heisman.
see, this is why I like these bi-coastal conferences. ACC people, you'll be forced to watch some stuff because you play Cal and Stanford, and oh, and Michigan State fans complaining about having to kick off at 8 p.m., 11 p.m.
Ah, you're jumping
Your
ahead.
time.
You're jumping ahead.
Yeah, now you get it, baby. Welcome to the welcome, welcome. And
we're
now,
get, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. My last one, and I'm curious what your three takeaways from week 2 are. My last one is that bounce backs are just as much fun as the people who level up. They really are. I watched some Toledo, Western Kentucky. You got Maverick McIvor, who was at Texas Tech and is now just like a stat stuffing monster. He spent a year at Abilene Christian last year. Now he's in his final year of college football at Western Kentucky. And man, he can sling it. And I've always known he was good, but it was crowded quarterback room
yeah,
at Texas Tech. You had Tyler Shuck. Their current starter was still there at that point, and Maverick McIvor. And then on the other side, I think Toledo won this game. Chip Trayanum ran for 163 yards.
what?
Do you know? And so Chip Trayanum started at Arizona State
Yeah,
at running back, went to Ohio State, won the game against Notre Dame, if I'm not mistaken, with the carry with no time left,
yeah.
and then switched to linebacker at Ohio State. And I think he's from Northeast Ohio. Spent last year at the University of Kentucky. Now he's finishing up his college football career at Toledo, and he just ran for 164
Oh, he's
yards.
back at running back. Okay, okay.
Yeah, he's back at running back. He's back at running back. But like some of these games, these lesser games that you tune into, you see some big names and they
Yes,
show
that
out.
you didn't know where they were. Like you need to do. We do a segment called "Where Are They Now?" I remember they used to do that for sports. Where are they now? Hmm, ideas popping. Anyways, my three big takeaways for this last week were: we need to not even we, y'all. Y'all need to stop using the word generational before somebody has proven on the field that they are generational. And I'm talking, and Ryan Clark actually got a lot of uh, hate for this last week, where he was like, I don't think Peyton Manning was generational, Tom Brady, and all of this, but he was talking about physically. Obviously, there were legendary players and generational players, but physically generational in terms of athleticism, skill set, all of that stuff. And people couldn't understand the fact that generational talent doesn't necessarily turn into generational player. And so we just need to stop using the word generational because LeBron only comes around once a generation.
Yes.
Wemby comes around once a generation. That's generational. That's not like Steph Curry's not generationally talented. He was generationally great, but not generationally talented. Um,
Some of these towns they be having kids at like 15, 16 years old. So it's a tighter window
the generation
for
is
what a
like
generation.
15 years.
I'm curious though, you played tight end. You played tight end. Who is the physically generational and talent wise generational in the last 20 years? Who were the two guys that you felt like were physically the most talented at the tight end position to come through college football,
Mm,
and the production wise the most talented?
mm.
Is it like a Darnell Washington for physicality?
Oh, out of Alabama. I'm sorry, from Georgia. That came
Yeah,
from uh,
Vegas. Yeah.
Vegas. Oh God, yes, bro. He is like unbelievable. He's a humongous human, and he can run a decent speed and catch and all that stuff. But he's also doesn't move generationally. Like he's just generational size. Like he's a special specimen in terms of size.
Like Leonard Pope, also a Georgia guy.
Yes. And I know that people are going to call me homerish on this, but like honestly, one of the most physically special. Oh, Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis was
Mm.
generationally like a generational type because the dude ran 4.3 and was 6'3", 6'4", 250 pounds, like and he would block and so yeah, he was. But currently, The 2025 version of Vernon Davis is Kenyon Sadiq at Oregon. I know people are gonna call me a homer, but the kid is the most athletically and physically gifted tight end Oregon has ever had, and before that it was probably me. So that lets you know. I mean, in terms of like physical, like there's a difference between athleticism and being a great athlete. Like I was a phenomenal athlete. Like I could play multiple sports, do all of these things and all that. But yeah. Um, my second takeaway is I have no clue through 2 weeks who's elite yet. Like which, if there are any elite college football teams. Uh, and people might say, "Oh, Oregon or Ohio State." Any of those, we just haven't seen enough of them against great competition yet. Because Ohio State versus Tennessee, that wasn't the greatest football that you've ever seen. But these teams are going to evolve. I just haven't seen a team that I believe is elite yet. Well, that I'm
That makes sense.
confident, that I'm sure is elite.
Do you think we could maybe get through this season without any undefeated Power Four teams? Do you think it's a possibility?
It's possible, but yeah, I definitely think it's possible. But you could have who could come out of that? I mean, technically, you could have Florida State come out of the ACC, maybe, or
Maybe a Miami.
yeah, possibly Miami. I think Oregon or Ohio State could run through the entire Big Ten because they don't play each other. Um, in the SEC, no chance, no chance, no chance. There's nobody that we've seen so far that, and Texas has already taken a loss, and there's Alabama's already lost. So yeah, I mean LSU technically could, but I don't. Yeah, I'm confused about how good they are because Clemson looks so bad right now.
What was your
And then,
last takeaway, major takeaway from the weekend?
oh, that adapting to college football matters. And this is a Mike Gundy talk.
Oh man.
18 years of what winning records and all of that stuff thrown away because he did not adapt to the changes in college football. So you do have to have somebody who can read and react to what's going on without overreacting.
Did you see the comments from Mike Gundy's oldest son?
No.
Okay. Um so he got online on X. I thought it was a burner because it was like a Mike Gundy fan account, but I guess it's run by his son.
Yeah.
And we live in the era where people's kids can just go out here and say whatever they want on social media, and I kind of hope that that does something for us where like we don't make adults responsible for the words of their adult children, like that we realize these
Yeah.
are separate human beings. Mike Tomlin's got a kid out here who just says whatever is on his mind on TikTok every single day, and it's the wildest thing in the world because you see people in the comments being like, you're dishonoring your dad, or you're like no, these are two separate people who
Humans.
share the
Yes.
same
Correct.
last name, and we got to get, we got to get to that point where that's a thing that we can accept. But Mike Gundy's son, he said, it was about like the people who were criticizing his father. His name's Gavin Gundy. He said, "Imagine being this pathetic. You will never understand the size of balls it takes to do what he does, and how Oklahoma State would be completely irrelevant without him. So you can sit there and tweet all you want, but you will never know what it takes to be successful in life." What do we think about that?
Now, on one hand, I get it, dude. He's defending his dad, of course. But
And
two
he might
things
not be
can,
wrong.
yes, that's what I'm
He
saying. Two things can be true. Maybe Oklahoma State would be irrelevant without his dad, but maybe they would have hired a coach who would have been relevant and also adapted. Who knows? Um, the but the part that he's missing in the situation is that as great of a job that his dad did for so many years, he's doing a terrible job right now for the last couple of years in terms of adapting. And it has
pick a
made
quote the stat that you brought up the other day. It's mind blowing to me the losses he's taken in the last 3 years.
Yes, the losses he's taken. So he got beat by. Hold up. Let me make sure I pull it up the way the way I'm giving the exact stat. The way we don't even
Because
have to
I think the
guess.
numbers are progressive. Like the way you read the
Yes,
stat.
Cor-
Oh,
yes.
unreal.
So in 2022, they got beat by Kansas State by 48 points. Kansas State. Okay, outlier, maybe somebody's hurt, this. That's a lot of points. Last year, they got beat by Colorado by 52 points. There is under zero circumstances should you get beat by Colorado last year. Granted, they were a good football team, but by 52 points, that's not even being competitive. Oh, or even like that's an effort problem too. And then this year you get beat by Oregon by 66 points. So that means that you are so far away from being competitive from good teams that you can't even fathom. Like if they played Ohio State, they lose by 60 points too. And probably 5, 10 other teams. That means that you are so far off the mark that I don't believe that he is the man that can fix the situation. Because I say that there are two rules to firing a coach. One, is there a coach that I can guarantee get that will do a better job? And you're like, "Mm, it's hard to do worse than what's going on right now." So the answer to that's probably yes. And then there is the question of, is there a loss of hope? Like, can you go into the houses of 17 to 22-year-olds that'll be in the portal and sell them on the fact that the future's brighter than the past? And I believe that that answer is no. So that means that it's time to change leadership. But that doesn't mean that doesn't take away from what happened. It'd be like if Bill Belichick colossal like it doesn't work at North Carolina trying to say that he's a bad football coach or it takes anything away from his legacy. It does not. Or if Nick Saban came back and, he didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, tell that to Nebraska fans when they talk about Scott Frost as a player now. Like his tenure and the things he
Well, I
said
mean, he
have.
also said I took the wrong job and this and this. That
Yeah, but that's what I worry about for Mike Gundy is that this gets to the point, if it hasn't already, where we have a Mad King, right? Game of Thrones style,
yeah.
where because the one of the coolest things that has ever happened in this country is George Washington handing the job off to
Yep.
the will of the people,
Yeah.
and
And I
so
remember when I
if you love this university, it's time to realize that you can't be having one 50-point loss to another Power 4 team every year.
and I also when I quit my dog my job hosting Mad Dog, and I was like, it was time for somebody else to have that job. Like it's a special job to have a national radio show and all of that stuff. There were other factors involved in it, but also because of that, it was no longer for me. Like I couldn't do as good of a job as I wanted to do at that job anymore. So it was time for somebody else to be able to have that opportunity that I got blessed with. I was no longer the best man for that job.
And we watched Chip Kelly hand off being the head coach of UCLA to go back to
Yeah.
doing the thing he loves and
Yep.
calling plays. If Mike Gundy still loves ball, there's a lot of high schools out there that could use his knowledge,
Yeah.
And I mean,
Or
it
or
comes off as an
maybe
insult, but it's not.
or or even take this up. Mike Gundy, go away, year, 2 years, pop back up like Dan Mullen with like fresh energy, a fresh vision, a fresh plan, and then get back to work. There's nothing wrong with that. I would hire Mike Gundy potentially, depending on my university and situation, after a couple years off if he comes with a new vision, a new plan, and all of that stuff. Why not? Because he's had a
16,
lot of success.
yeah, 16 winning records in a row.
Yeah, yeah, you
That's
can't poo
incredible.
poo that.
In Stillwater. Not that Stillwater's a dump or anything. That's who brought us Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas. But
Exactly.
like 16 in a row is crazy.
Yes, exactly. All right, what else do we have today, Mr. Ralph Amsden?
All right. So the thing about college football apostles is we get into some of the weird stuff, we get into some of the major stories, but I have to know, George, have you ever gone to a media member's house and filmed them on the toilet?
Are we being serious? No,
I
no.
am I'm being serious. Have you
The
ever
only
gone
person I've
to
ever
any
filmed on the toilet is my wife.
What? Does
Yes.
this require a follow-up?
I mean, just like filming something and just messing with her while she was in the bathroom or something. Yeah,
Oh, like
that's it.
trolling and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so Steve Sarkisian was asked about Arch Manning visibly wincing when he throws. Obviously, there's some discomfort there. It's normal to notice if somebody's limping. It's normal to notice if somebody's wincing, if somebody bleeds. Like we're all watching this, and the cameras are in 4K now. Something is wrong with Arch Manning. Now, is it something serious? Is it something limiting? We're never going to know because college coaches aren't necessarily um, uh,
Yes. Forthcoming.
honest about any of this. But Steve Sarkisian was asked about this, and his response was, I've never filmed any of you guys when you're using the restroom, so I
Oh,
don't know what faces you make when you're doing that.
dude, that was the worst analogy of all time. My family says that I come up with bad analogies when we're having discussions about things, but this can't be like I can't have a worse analogy in my family discussions than this. What does fit a media member being on the toilet have to do with this dude actually playing football that we're all supposed to be watching? What
He
and
did.
and I asked my kids. I have two quarterback sons. I asked them, "What does this look like to you?" They're like, "Oh, that it hurt when he threw it." I don't know what I was, and they were like, "But I can't see my face when I typically throw the ball, but I've seen a lot of them, and that's a wince." I was like, "So does that mean that something's wrong?" And they were like, "Sometimes something will hurt just once though." And we did only see one. I've only seen one video, like the back clip and the front clip of him wincing on one throw. So it could be a one throw thing, or he could have something like little minor going on. And they obviously don't want to tell it, and they don't want to make excuses and all that stuff out in the public. But Sark he's very protective of Arch right now. But the reality is he knows what's on film. He knows that he's watching the film. He's coached quarterbacks. He knows that this is not what the world was expecting, or probably what he was expecting in the first two games.
Yeah, and I mean, it could just easily be like his ribs are tight. It could be
Yeah.
very, very simple. That's the face I make when I get off the couch. So it's not like
Ah,
I could still get up. I could still get off the couch and walk to the fridge, but sometimes I gotta wince a little bit.
yeah.
Uh, but it I don't know. He did kind of imply that his quarterback took a dump while in the shotgun, though.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of
What
did.
like what are we and he looked kind of proud of the metaphor, and then it
Oh,
was just
because he
silence in the
planned that
room.
one. He planned that one. And he was like, "I'm gonna kill him with this one. I'm gonna kill him with this one." And you're like, you probably should have vetted that joke against somebody, or vetted that with somebody who wasn't a yes man first.
Who's Texas got this week? Who does Texas? Who's
Some
on Texas
layup of a
schedule this
game.
week?
Texas schedule is not the most daunting thing that you've ever seen in college football comparatively to like um because Oklahoma fans who do have Temple this week, they have a legitimate reason to be upset about the SEC scheduling that they've gotten. So Texas has UTEP and then Sam Houston State.
Okay, so challenge to University of Texas El Paso fans: send Sark pictures of yourself on the toilet this week.
Oh, are they playing against um oh god. Is UTEP where
Malachi?
yeah.
I think so.
Or is he at UTSA? Nope,
I think
nope,
he's at
nope.
UTEP.
That's where he is. Ooh, ooh. Okay, Malachi 1-1, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, 456 yards. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
And they
but
played
I think
Utah
this would
State.
be
They lost to Utah State 28-16, and then UT Martin they beat 42-17.
so. I mean, yeah, it sounds like that's what Steve Sarkisian's asking for. So make sure if you're a UTEP fan, tag him in all your pictures of yourself in the bathroom.
Okay.
That was the silence in the media room. The exact lack of sound was what followed Steve Sarkisian's comment. Let's move on from this and get into Bill Belichick going absolutely galaxy brain to try to reinvent college football and banning the New England Patriots scouts from North Carolina practice. George, it was my understanding that the vision for North Carolina is to be the 33rd NFL team. And maybe he's taking that literally to mean that if we're an NFL team, why would we let other NFL teams around? Because we knew what we did when we were around. We filmed practices. So we don't want these NFL teams copying off us. Or is this just really petty stuff? Because he had to comment on it. Mike Vrabel had to comment on it of just him trying to get back at one NFL team.
This is pathetic and it's petty. And the rest of the things that he's doing are pathetic and petty too. Well, actually pathetic and nonsensical. So NFL scouts are limited on what days they can go to practice, like severely, and they can only come for the first 3 periods, which includes stretching. So he wants the teams to have to come to him and take his word as like, trust me, bro. Instead of making their own evaluations from things that they see in practice, whether somebody who's working hard, this or that, it's terrible. And you look at a team like Oregon, I want to read it to you exactly the way you don't I don't misquote it, because their NFL liaison of the year, Cody Look, in recognition for your contributions to NFL scouting in your performance as pro liaison during the 2024 college football season. This was presented by the Scouts Association and people with the NFL and all of that stuff. Oregon gives pretty much unfettered access to scouts to practice, to film, to all of this stuff. It's a wonder that you have 10 players drafted because they're getting better evaluations on those players. So I don't understand, especially when you are supposed to be developing players for the NFL. If I were a parent, I would not be sending my kid to North Carolina. I just wouldn't.
If I was the president of University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, I went through everything that we went through this off season with the distractions of, Jordan Hudson and all that stuff. I'm walking into Bill Belichick's office. I'm looking him right in the eye, and I'm saying, if you don't reverse this decision, we are firing you for cause today. Because it's a personal matter that he has brought into his current job that could affect the futures of the student athletes that they're bringing in. That's thing number one. But thing number two that makes this so egregious, George, who did the New England Patriots spend a first round pick on last year?
Oh, Lord.
Face of the franchise.
Oh, Drake Maye.
Right. So what kind of position are you putting Drake Maye in as a University of North Carolina alum? What
And
kind of
who somebody
connection?
that you should be able to celebrate. And you're not even so now you're not gonna post him on social media if he has a big win and all of this stuff. Come on, man.
Right. Like I'm wearing a Wyoming hat right now. They're retiring Josh Allen's jersey. He wasn't even that good at Wyoming. Like not objectively good by college
Yeah,
football standards. You and I have had this
for sure.
conversation a million times. He's good for a Wyoming quarterback, but they're going to retire his jersey. They never retired anybody's jersey before. But like University of Wyoming is going to be able to dine off this Josh Allen stuff
Yeah.
for a
And Josh
very,
might
very,
kick
very
him
long
down some
time.
dollars too, because he
He
feels
definitely
good
will.
about
He just kicked a bunch of money to his hometown for youth sports via New Balance. Like he's always sharing the love. He's always sharing the wealth. He bought his parents like 50 million pistachio trees for their farm. Like he's probably going to help out University of Wyoming. Drake Maye, if he ends up popping off, because he's a very, very talented individual, what are you supposed to do with that if you're
Yeah.
University of North Carolina and Bill Belichick is bringing his personal issues in his personal life? Yeah. I, I honestly, like, all the girlfriend stuff was so beyond me.
Yeah.
It felt like such not a football thing that weighing in on it felt very weird. I didn't like all the Pablo Torre stuff on it. It's his, and yes, it's affecting the university and there's a lot of money involved. I understand why it was a story. It just made me uncomfortable. This is a football story and it is completely absurd. And you're affecting the best player, the highest drafted player to come out of North Carolina in years, as being the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots with your petty personal issues with Robert Kraft and that organization. And it's absurd.
Yep. 100%.
All right, next topic. Let's talk about Deion Sanders. Once a year, he pulls a move that is so out of left field, so unexpected, and so fascinating. A couple years ago, it was firing Sean Lewis.
Yep.
And everybody, I think us included, was like, "What are you doing?"
Yes, correct.
And I think ultimately, at the end of the day, like that probably worked out okay. But this time, he has a quarterback on his roster who was the backup to Shedeur Sanders. He brings in one of the top recruits in the entire country.
Yep.
Who gets put over him, and he brings in a transfer who also gets put over him. And by halftime of game 2, Ryan Staub is out there slinging it and is announced to be the starter against the University of Houston this weekend. George, what is going on?
Wait. Hold on. I saw a tweet earlier this morning that's why I was down here typing, but now I can't find it on Deion Sanders' account, where somebody said that Ryan Staub, who used to be on the same high school team as my son, because I don't know if you know, he went to SC before he went to West Ranch.
Okay.
So
Wow.
yeah, and yeah, that I'll tell you the private stuff about that. But
Well, so RJ Lewis said that he was. A bunch of people said that he was, and now Deion is saying Ryan Staub has been doing a phenomenal job getting the majority of the reps, but I haven't made that assessment or decision yet.
yeah,
George, why do you give somebody
so
the majority of the reps in practice if they're not starting?
so here is the thing: is that Deion quote tweeted, which is now gone, and he said, "We don't care about being right. All we care about is being first." So I'm thinking that is Ryan Staub not the starter, but now I feel that this is probably gamesmanship by Deion, but Deion didn't want to openly say that he was the starter, that he wasn't the starter, because Deion is not about lying either. So that's why I think that Deion, it appears he deleted that tweet. And I think his comment says because Deion is not a liar. Like, you can call him a lot of things, a liar's not one of them. And so I think he felt uncomfortable even towing that line. So I think he tried to walk up to that as much as possible without telling a lie.
Yeah, and you do have to be you do have to be careful with some of this stuff, because here's a situation that could have happened. I'm not saying that it's what did happen, but it could have happened. If you tell one quarterback one thing, but you haven't had that conversation with the other two quarterbacks, that quarterback texts his dad. His dad texts a buddy. The buddy texts somebody in the media. And then all of a sudden, sources say Ryan Staub is starting, but Deion hasn't had that conversation with his other two quarterbacks that are on the roster. Then it creates a situation with Caden Salter and Juju Lewis where there could be some issues. Arizona State dealt with this when I was covering the team. Drew Pine's dad would feed everything to Pete Thamel. So
Yep.
every single thing that was happening with Arizona State, Drew Pine's dad is a TV executive, and he's just messaging it all to one reporter, and it gets out there before everybody has all the information. So you got to be careful about some of this stuff. But we're talking about a guy who wasn't even really in the conversation, or at least the
Yes,
conversation
correct.
everybody else
It
has
was
been
either
having.
it was expected to either be Ryan Salter or Julian Lewis. And then they asked Deion about Julian Lewis last week, and he was like, he's going to play this week. And Deion told the truth. He did play, but it just wasn't the way that you thought. It wasn't exactly the way that you thought. So I'm happy for Ryan Staub. I knew Salter wasn't going to last as the starter for very long after that first week. I was like, ugh. And so, you know, hey man, you got to do what you got to do to win football games. Always play the best player. Always.
The one thing that I support Dion in wholeheartedly is I do firmly believe that if you're going to have some cupcakes early in your schedule, everyone should get in the game in meaningful situations, because the one thing that we've always seen in the history of college football is that practice does not tell you what you have. It tells you what you might have, but it does not tell you what you actually have. So everybody should be getting game reps if you want to know who actually is the man on your roster. So maybe that's what's going on. But Houston opened up a 6-point favorite. So this is going to be a really, really interesting week. Let's keep it in the Big 12, because the Big 12 just suspended a referee crew. Did you hear about this, George?
No.
Okay, so in the Missouri Kansas State game.
Oh, the refereeing in that game was atrocious, by the way.
Yeah, and it was also, we had a Big 12 crew in Arizona State, Mississippi State. It was not bad. It wasn't poorly officiated, but they did call a chop block on a touchdown pass that made it 17-0. And then the refs came over and picked up the flag and said, "Just kidding, it's not a chop block." And then you go to the replay and it was like, "Oh, that's like the textbook
Yeah,
definition of what one is."
textbook.
And
Yes.
so it was an interesting week for Big 12 referees and interconference matchups, but this is the statement from the Big 12. The Big 12 officials in Saturday's Kansas Missouri game allowed a punt to occur on a free kick in violation of Rule 2, Section 16, Article 6 of NCAA football rules. That Big 12 officiating crew has been removed from its next scheduled assignment on Friday, September 12th. Is that the Colorado Houston game? A Friday game, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's interesting. We believe that we have one of the best officiating programs in college football, said Big 12 Chief Football and Competition Officer Scott Draper. When the conference's high standard for officiating is not met, the Big 12 will take action. If Scott Draper was running the Pac 12, that everyone would have been fired 2 weeks into the season.
Hey,
We
and
wouldn't
you
have
know
even
what that
had
means?
referee crews.
I love that. I love that. There has to be accountability when it's so bad, because allowing a punt when it was a free kick, like, that's a major issue, but that means that there were significant other issues during the game. And if they're that bad, they gotta go. I'm sorry. This is not a charity event. There's too much money on the line for whether it's bettors. There's too much money on the line for people who showed up and paid their money to go see the game, watching on television. Sorry, if you're bad, if you're objectively bad and you grade out horribly, then yes, you gotta go. Like, nobody expects perfection, but we do expect rule competency. And I mean, like you should not mess up on the rules, especially when there's help
Yeah.
available to you.
Would you believe me if I told you this is the first known suspension or punishment of an officiating crew in college football since 2009?
Oh wow. Do you know what that means? That means that there's more to this story. That's what that means. Where's Pablo Torre at when we need him?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so this one I think will be interesting to you. The University of Southern California is 2 and
Okay.
0. They dominated their competition. It's not great competition, but not a lot of people play great
Missouri State
competition
and Georgia
early in the
Southern.
year. Yeah, not unique to them though. So we're not singling out USC at all. They are currently in the AP poll coming in at 30th. What do we think about that? USC being
Ooh,
2-0
okay.
and
So you know
ranked
what that says?
30th in the country.
That says that USC has about as much goodwill built up the last couple years as Nebraska has. Nebraska's a blue blood too. USC's a blue blood. But when you don't get benefit of the doubt as a blue blood, that means what you've put on tape the last few years is not is like there's a reason why Colorado did not get the initial hype last year after being like 4-5-0 or whatever in the beginning of the season, because the season before they did it and then it was a tailspin after. So I believe that they are in wait and see mode with USC. Think about USC's beginning of their schedule, and I understand their fans' frustration because they put up, we're number one in scoring, we're number one in this, we're number one in all. Like, okay, but you haven't played anybody yet. However, yes, it is not just them that has not played, any Power Four opponents or anything else. But this week they're at Purdue. Now, I finally and reluctantly put USC in my top 25. This week they come in at number 24. But I was hesitant. And that's probably how the other voters feel. A 73-13 win over it, and they'll say, "Oh, we don't play any FCS programs." Well, Missouri State is just a FBS program this year, I believe. And then you play Georgia Southern, and yes, if you had come in the season ranked, but with all the other teams that could be ranked, like Vanderbilt that could be ranked, you got BYU who could be ranked, Baylor, all could be ranked, and you want to fight over it, just relax. You are USC and it'll happen. Because they play at Purdue, then they play Michigan State, then they play at Illinois. If they win those 3 games and then beat Michigan after that too, they're going to be a top 5 team. But people are like, we'll see. We'll see. We've heard this Lincoln Riley story before, so I don't feel bad about it. And this is why people have asked me about Oregon's ranking in particular. They've been like, "Oh, well, how do you feel about them being ranked fifth, sixth, seventh, or whatever to start the season?" Well, seventh to start the season. I was like, it's actually perfect because nobody's been talking about them. And that's why being number one for so long last year mattered, because nobody overtook you. That means that other people are starting to buy in and get used to the idea of you in these spots. Like, for instance, I watched Joel Klatt put up his top 10 yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and he said twice in there, "Oh, well, Penn State, they didn't look that great, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. LSU didn't look that great this week, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt." That's what you earn, benefit of the doubt. Now, I don't do my rankings based upon benefit of the doubt, but that's what happens.
I think I find it concerning. Um, to me, they are certainly a top 25 team, uh, talent wise.
Yes.
They have two of the best receivers in the country. Jacoby Lane might have the best hands of anyone.
Yep.
Uh,
He's excellent.
and Eli Sanders was a great pickup in the portal. They've done a lot to rework that offensive line. They
Yeah.
are well coached on the defense, certainly better coached than they were when Alex Grinch was in charge. We've talked at length about that. They're recruiting like crazy. It almost seems like a repudiation of Lincoln Riley in particular. Now there are 10 of the 64 voters who did put them on their ballot. One person as high as 12th, but to be left off, to be for USC in any season in the history of college football to be 2-0 and be left off 54 different people's ballots is fascinating, and it's at least
Yeah.
noteworthy. There's a reason that we're talking about it. Let's stay in Southern California, your home, sunny, beautiful, currently not on fire, Southern California. But we might have a program that's on fire. UCLA has started 0-2.
Yes.
They
And they
lost.
played Utah. No, go on. Sorry.
Oh no, you can definitely take over from here because it's something that you are particularly close to. You're married into it. You're a season ticket holder. You interviewed the head coach, and I'm very curious as to what your thoughts are.
Okay. So in the Utah game, which they lost 43-10, I was in attendance. Um, I expected Utah to win that football game. I but I did want to see how Utah was going to be. I expected their offensive line to be great, expected their defense to be good. I wanted to see Devin Dampier. I left that game being like, damn, does UCLA need to get in the weight room? Are their players not big enough? And I do understand that Devin Dampier is slipperier than a can of oil. But it was just a beatdown. And I could accept that, because I believe that Utah could be a very special Utah team. So, I don't expect UCLA to be able to compete with Oregon or Ohio State. So why should I be able to expect them to compete with a team that I believe that could give those teams a headache, right? So, and I also believed that Nico would start a little bit slow this season because he got in so late and the offense would take a little time to get going. So all of those things I expected. But then the UNLV game, with the way UNLV looked against Idaho State, and then they played who did they play their second game?
Are you
UNLV.
talking about Utah, or are you
UNLV.
talking about UNLV?
Yeah. UNLV. It was Sam Houston. Their second game, they won 38-21. So it was better than the Idaho State game. So I was like, okay, UNLV, who I picked to go to the college football playoff as the G5 representative, okay, they're getting better, huh? Okay, so
But you
then
had to know they start slow. The whole team is new.
yes,
They're
correct,
good players,
correct,
but they're all like meeting for the very first time.
exactly. So
Imagine
then
doing an escape room with strangers. Like, you probably get better at it as you go, but those first few minutes, you're still trying to get to know everybody's tendencies.
exactly. And then they were playing Alex Orgy still and all this stuff. But in the UCLA game, UNLV only played one quarterback, which was the right move. And
They
and
should
Alex
have
Orgy, sorry,
they
Orgy
should have
did,
stayed. They should have stayed playing only one quarterback, because now Alex Orgy's out for the season.
yes. So Nico, like I saw Tennessee fans, as we knew, harping on Nico. Nico is the bright spot of this game, of this team right now. The bright spot. They started down 23-0 and then kicked the field goal before halftime, so it was 23-3. And then in the second half, they damn near pitched a shutout. So I was highly encouraged by the fact that they didn't quit. And then what I saw out of the offense in the second half, I was like, oh, there's something there. There's something there. So this game for UCLA against New Mexico is crucial. If they go out there and take care of business, because remember, Michigan had little. They beat New Mexico handily, but they didn't just run away on them. So if UCLA can do some things to New Mexico and then go win at Northwestern, all will be fine, and we'll chalk it up to a slow start, which is what I expected.
Which is what
But
they did
but
last year.
but
They
if
went
they
one
lose
one
to
and
New
five and then
Mexico,
4-2.
yeah, if they lose to New Mexico and lose to Northwestern, that's major league bad, bad, bad.
Before we get into Wrighster wrong, you haven't been. I think you've probably been more gracious toward Nico than a lot of people. You're also not um, covered in sausage gravy of SEC bias. Uh, but this man is hated, and Tennessee is 2-0. Joey Aguiar is playing good, and Tennessee fans are dancing on
But that
Nico's
doesn't
grave.
change what that doesn't change what that family has said, which is Josh Heupel's offense hasn't produced NFL quarterbacks or NFL wide receivers who've done anything. So that doesn't because Tennessee is having success. That doesn't change what they said, regardless of it could be just a matter of time prior to that happening. But that doesn't change the family's feeling on it. And you don't know who was right or who was wrong until Nico gets drafted. You won't know. And then if he goes on and has success, if he only wins 5 games at UCLA this year, next year wins 7 games, then goes on to the NFL, gets drafted in the first round, plays really well. Did he make the right decision? Yes. So this is not a short-term answer. This is actually a long-term play for Aguilar and for
Yeah.
Nico.
I wish that he had just said, I I want to go home.
Yeah.
I really wish that that's what it was, because Tennessee fans would not have taken that well, but I don't think that they would be trying to hold him accountable for UCLA not having as
Well,
talented of a roster as Tennessee, because Danny O'Neil started all year last year at San Diego State. He would have been the starter again this year.
yep.
And what did he say? I want to be closer to home. So he went to Wisconsin and he was just going to be the backup. Now he's starting. But like that excuse can get you out of a lot of this animosity.
Mm,
Um,
yes. I
Instead of
like it.
saying it's a you problem. I'm
Yeah.
leaving you because of you. Well, now they are 2-0 and you are 0-2, and they're having a great time with it.
All right. Hey, that
Let's
Tennessee schedule gonna get tricky soon.
it is. Let's get into Wrighster or wrong.
Actually, it gets
These
tricky
are
this weekend. So
yeah. Let's get into Wrighster or wrong. These topics are maybe a little bit less analysis, and just I want to know what your thoughts are on some of the wacky things that happened in week 2.
okay.
Wrighster or wrong, or let's do it this way: Fran Brown was Wrighster, or Fran Brown was wrong for making Syracuse run after narrowly defeating UConn at home.
Oh, it was Wrighster. It was Wrighster because it hit me in the feels. I loved it. I loved everything about it. And there are very few college football coaches who can make a team run on the field, which is publicly embarrassing them, and still keep the locker room. Because I guarantee you, when they turn on the film, well, in that moment, they were like, yo, is this dude serious? But then they knew he was serious because he's probably done other stuff that they're like, well, yep, this is Coach Fran being Coach Fran. And there's a standard that he is trying to set. And clearly they didn't meet that standard with their effort and their energy. So he was like, I guess y'all ain't tired. So, or we need to be in better shape. So either way, let's get some laps. Let's get some running
George, it is amazing what will make old heads happy.
in.
It's truly amazing. His players out jogging on the field, and then uh, all of a sudden, all
Get
of a
on the
sudden, people are
line.
like, "No,
Everybody on the
that's a
line.
real football coach right there. That's what we need more of in
Yes,
America.
we need more football
Accountability."
men like this.
I'm not saying my oldest son is a bad person. He's actually great, upstanding citizen, good dude. But he holds the door for old ladies, says please and thank you, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and he loves the taste of Werther's Originals. He could be the worst person on earth outside of those things. And grandmothers across America will think my oldest son is the greatest human being on the planet. It is so easy
I
to
love
please a
Werther's,
boomer.
FYI. I love Werther's.
It is so easy to please some people, and making people run after practice. That's got to be like just the easiest way to have boomers be like, Fran Brown, that's a real football coach. All right. Wrighster wrong, having no dog in the fight whatsoever. Fans are Wrighster or wrong for rooting for Tulane to beat Duke on principle, on some class warfare shit.
I don't understand.
So Darian Mensah was purchased off of the Tulane
Oh, okay,
roster
okay,
to
okay. I
go to
was like,
Duke.
why
They
do
are
they
playing
care?
each other.
Okay.
Should fans just always be rooting for the underdog uh,
No,
to spite
no,
the
no,
haves?
no, 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 no. Fans should be rooting for good stories, for the outcomes that entertain them. And it's funny because I think sometimes people try to like in boxing where Jake Paul is, I mean, Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather are supposed to fight now or something, right? Now, I've been in on the Jake Paul fights for the most part. And people say it's an abomination of boxing and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, it's because at the end of the day, sports is entertainment. And if you are making something that entertains the fans and makes the fans happy, then you have won. So the fans get to choose which story that they love and they follow. So the fans can want outcomes. And the best outcome for fans is something that evokes emotion, either utter disappointment and heartbreak or marvel and like, oh my god, like they saw a spectacle. That's what you want. You don't want to leave saying, oh, that was a cool game. No, you want to be like, oh my god, that was the best game I've ever seen, or man, that was whack, these refs suck, this like, you want them to have some reaction. So in this Duke Tulane game, whatever the outcome is, as a fan, I just want to have a reaction.
It's hard for me to be upset with Darian Mensah when John Sumrall, the head coach of Tulane, is not. And when he's come out and said, like, that was a lot of money. Like, I've made moves for money too.
Yes.
And Darian Mensah is not a kid who was recruited in high school. He went from no major offers to the most in demand available quarterback, and he looks good, dude. He looks really good. He looks like a future
Yes.
NFL player. And I'm hoping that, eat the rich is a popular sentiment right now, and I understand people rooting against Duke just on principle. Um, but I can't root against Darian Mensah. I don't care. And I just want him to look good and have a good game. I don't care if Tulane wins or loses. It'd be a great story for Tulane if they continue on this revenge tour. They just need somebody out there to say something bad about New Orleans, and they'll be they'll be able to manufacture outrage like they did against Northwestern. All right, so Wrighster or wrong? Sherrone Moore was Wrighster or wrong for naming Biff Poggi the interim head coach as he serves his suspension?
I'm gonna go with Wrighster because Biff Poggi puts his money where his mouth is.
Yes, he
So
does.
so who knows what Biff Poggi is doing to help out? And he's been a head coach over at Charlotte. And Biff Poggi is probably not a guy who, like if you make one of your coordinators your head coach, that just adds a lot of responsibility to him. So you give it to a guy who's been a head coach, who is going to stay in line with the values that you say, and then the plan that you put in place, and you're fine. And they're playing Temple. It'll be all right. Who cares?
Hopefully he was 6-16 at the University of Charlotte. I got a front row seat to that, to the sleeveless Biff Poggi show. But Sherrone Moore did say that Biff Poggi will be wearing a full T-shirt. Uh,
Welcome to the Gun
Dabo
Show.
Dabo Swinney, and you already commented on this, so I kind of know where you're going with it. Dabo Swinney was Wrighster or wrong for essentially saying that LSU only looked good if we're grading on a curve. He said, we failed. They got a D.
He is 100% Reister. LSU did not look good this last week. When you go back and watch that Clemson film versus LSU, Clemson was utter hot, steaming pile of terrible garbage on the offensive line. That is the nicest way to put it. And I picked Clemson to win the national championship. Whether it was coaching assignments, busted assignments, execution, you cannot win when your offensive line plays like that. Their defense held them to 17 points, which is enough to be able to get a win. Their offense, with their offensive line, they couldn't run the football. Kate Klubnik is seeing ghosts right now because there's so much pressure at him. This is atrocious. And I don't know what is going on with their offensive line. Personnel, scheme, it all looks bad right now. So, yes, Dabo was right. And you had Brian Kelly gloating the next, oh yeah, we're great. Yeah, look at what is he talking about? We got a hey, did you watch the film? LSU, 3 losses.
All
Not
right.
2
Oh,
losses.
three losses
2
and a
probably.
college football playoff appearance.
I think it's going to be tight for them. I picked them to finish second in the SEC, but after seeing how bad Clemson was, that win don't look as good to me now. Which is why Clemson came in unranked this week in the top 25. Unranked. My national championship team, unranked.
Wrighster wrong. Michigan State fans are Wrighster or wrong for being super upset about an 11 p.m. Eastern kickoff when they visit LA.
They are 100%. I don't even, you know what? We do not care. We do not care. People on the West Coast, so I'm not even going to give it a right or wrong. We do not care. West Coast and my brother-in-law, he's super happy. He moved out here from East Lansing. He's a Michigan State fan to his bones. He's so happy. Daughter will be in the bed, sleep. He can enjoy it, enjoy a great game. So I am happy for my brother-in-law. But Michigan State fans, listen, I don't give a damn whether it's Clemson, Rutgers, whoever else got to come out here and play on at 8 p.m. Alabama, anybody, whatever. Like our fans are having trouble seeing us. Well, why do you think that you won so many Heismans and all of this stuff over Christian McCaffrey and all that? I don't care. I do not care. Sorry for you, East Coasters, that you have to live in the rubble that is Pac-12 after dark.
Okay, so it's not necessarily about the issue at hand. It's about you got to walk a mile in my nighttime slippers.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
So I'll say this and someone did leave a comment. They said they love the show, but I agree with you too much. Fair, great minds. I think you're so off base on this one. They would never in a million years have. You brought up Alabama. They would never in a million years have done this to Alabama or Ohio State. And Michigan State fans have every right to think of themselves as a premier college football team, despite recent results. 11 p.m. is criminal. It's truly criminal to expect a fan base to be tuned in for that, and it gives USC a clear advantage. And whether it's the right thing to do or not, or whether everybody can get it, or whether the West Coast has been screwed over for years and years and years, is completely irrelevant to the way that Michigan State fans feel about this in this moment. That's the worst. It's the absolute worst. And yeah, make a bunch of noise. They should make as much noise as possible, because there are several teams that would never ever be put in this situation ever. And you have to walk around thinking that you're equal even if you're not.
Oh, so you think that they should have made like Oregon USC a 8:00 game or Washington USC? Nah, player. I mean,
they've been doing that. And it's
Oregon's got to go play at 9 a.m. in Chicago next. That's
bad too.
So if you want to complain about an 11 p.m., then try a 9 a.m. kickoff for a West Coast team.
Yeah, I mean, most people are awake at. Oh man, there's going to be some people that do their usual like. So here's the thing that Michigan State fans aren't used to: 15 straight hours of drinking before kickoff. There's going to be some domestic disturbance calls. There's going to be some domestic disturbance calls in East Lansing if they lose that game. That's for sure. Wrighster or wrong, the fans of America should be publicly shaming these loose cannon AP voters who do not
Mm.
only watch the games, but aren't even box score watching or voting on head-to-heads. And we'll get into some direct naming here in a second, but I just want to know, do you think we should be calling out these individuals that are habitual offenders?
You know the answer to this. This is Wrighster. We made videos every week last week, last year, calling them out.
We did.
So yes. Oh, and just so you guys know, on Thursday, John Wildner will be on the live stream on Thursday to talk about this particular subject, buddy. That and Heisman voting. Oh yeah, I called him up today. I was like, "Hey, yo, John. Hey, yo, do you want to talk about this?" And he was like, "Yes, I do." I was like, "Good, good, because I got questions, and we gonna get some answers."
People are mad, and I think that they deserve to be mad if they feel like the people who are entrusted with these responsibilities don't take them seriously. But we got to admit, at some point, we all watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory as a kid, and we know that some of these people that get golden tickets don't deserve them and act accordingly.
Yes.
And so to call two people out specifically, number one, Chad Bishop, who I have come to admire as quite possibly the worst AP voter. He started off this year with BYU at 8 and Utah at 11, and then moved them into the late 20s after they both started 1-0, where he still has them. Last week, he did not put Florida State on his ballot after they beat Alabama, and he dropped Notre Dame after their loss to Miami from, I believe he had them in the top 10. He dropped them off his ballot completely. Now, who did Notre Dame play this last week, George?
Nobody.
Exactly, nobody. So, should they go from unranked to number 8 in the country off a bye week?
Okay. So that had to be a glaring
Of course it
omission.
is. Of course it is, but he has these every single week. And this week, he had Ole Miss at 19. They went and got an SEC road win in one of the tougher environments to play in college football. And this week, they are unranked. He does this
What?
every single week. Chad Bishop, Georgia Tech writer, is a is just belongs in the Hall of Fame for this type of stuff. And but so he's not taking any heat this week because everyone is directing all of their animus at a woman named Haley Sawyer who covers the
Yes.
USC Trojans. Her ballot is insane. I'm not going to get into it, but she does not have Florida went up after losing to USF, and USF is not on her ballot. That's one
Okay,
of the many
so
things.
explain
But
to
she
me
made a
what.
video. She made a video explaining. Well,
No,
she
she
said, "I'm
didn't.
not going to."
She didn't explain anything.
No, she didn't explain anything. But I'll say this, and I'm going to defend her a little bit. She is a high school sports reporter who gives off massive English teacher vibes. I
Yes.
am a high school sports reporter, former high school English teacher, and a lit major. And I will say this: she seems like an absolutely lovely person. More of her in this world would probably make the world a better place. No one who watches college football wants their AP voters to be well-adjusted human beings. They just want them to know ball. If you could cast a good ballot from death row, they would give that to a death row inmate over Haley Sawyer, who has been on the permanent college football beat. George, are you ready for this?
Mhm.
For 3 weeks. 3 weeks. She has written about college football before. She wrote about
Okay.
uh,
How does she get
UCLA.
an AP vote?
That's the question. And she said there's tons of them, so it all evens out even if people make mistakes. No,
There's
there's
not tons of them.
64
There
of
are
them.
60. Yes.
There are 64 of them, and USF might get pounded by Miami this week, and that's why it's so important for USF fans to get acknowledged for what they did. And
Okay,
she
so
failed
what?
them. She failed them, and they have every right to be upset. She seems like a lovely, fantastic person. She messed up, and voters don't care that you're a good
Oh,
person.
and just so everybody knows, I am politicking my way to a Heisman vote and an AP vote. I am searching under every nook and cranny and figuring out how to, because I mean, I believe that I'm the perfect type of person to be on the college football playoff committee, to be on an AP voter, a Heisman voter, means somebody who is dedicated to the sport of college football, somebody who played college football, who played in the NFL, who loves this, who does this, who studies it, and who is and everybody has some sort of allegiance. Yes, my allegiance is to Oregon. However, Ralph, comparatively to other people, how would you and answer this honestly? Do you think that I put my bias toward Oregon in my commentary?
See, this is what I'm talking about. People want their voters to be delusional.
So I should just so
No,
they would
you're good.
rather
You're good. You're good. You're good.
so they
But you
would rather I
you did
vote
say
Oregon 1 every week?
no. But you did say like I deserve a Heisman vote and there's what's that Kendrick song? I deserve it all.
Yep.
You just ran the list. You just ran the whole list. That's what college football fans want. They want what you just did, what you just said. They don't want you coming on here and saying that it doesn't matter and it all evens out and there's tons of voters and the sun is out and it's shining and there's butterflies
No, my
and
vote
we should all just
matters.
hug each other.
Yes.
Yes. Do I think that your Oregon bias would come out in your top 25 voting? Not in a way that would threaten the integrity of the list. Do I think that it's impossible to shelve that kind of stuff? Yes.
Yeah.
Wyoming is 2-0 right now, and I probably would give them a top 10 vote just to make the Utah game.
Just so
I think they're leading college football in passing. When was the last time that happened? So yeah, I would absolutely with it being an entertainment business, I might manipulate things a little bit just to say like, oh, we got a ranked Utah playing a ranked Wyoming in Laramie
Ooh.
this week just to make it more interesting. But at the same time, that's what I'm talking about with USF. USF deserves the recognition of having beaten a Florida team. Now, I'll tell you right now, that Chad Bishop, who I just brought up, he had Florida at number 10 last week. This week they are not on his ballot, but USF is on there at 25. That's at least some acknowledgement. And I think that it's important to have that for the teams who might not have it later on in the season. Because if Miami jack stomps USF, you might not hear another thing about them until conference championship time.
Yes. That makes sense. That makes sense.
All right, last two, Wrighster wrong. Wrighster wrong. Brendan Betts spitting on a University of South Florida lineman is a coaching issue. This is something that Billy Napier should be held liable for.
100% wrong. 100% wrong. That would be like Dan Lanning should be held accountable because Trayshawn Holden spit on on the guy in the Ohio State game, on the cornerback. No. You know what should be accountable? The head coach should be accountable for is that there is a culture where of lack of discipline, where there is like a ridiculous penalty like that, because you can't have people on the field that will do that in crucial times. So and once is an accident, if we see another undisciplined, poorly timed penalty on the last drive of like all of that stuff, then yes, that's a Billy Napier problem. And people will say, well, Nick Saban's players or Kirby Smart's players would never do that. And you're probably right, because they would know that they would die. And also, Dan Lanning suspended Trayshawn Holden for the next. It wasn't a public suspension, but they played Purdue next, and he was a starting wide receiver, and he didn't play one single snap. He was dressed out, did not play one single snap. He was cheering his teammates on like it was like, and that probably was part of the deal. I need to see you on this film cheering like you out on the field. That's your punishment. And so if Billy Napier
Brendan Betts'
doesn't,
apology said, I look forward to proving I have like better character when I play next week.
Nah, bro, you gotta sit
So
down.
I don't think he expects to get suspended.
Nah, you gotta sit down. You gotta sit down.
Okay, so Florida fan, if any Florida fan is blaming Billy Napier for Brendan Vett spitting on somebody, they're wrong.
100%. They should blame
Okay,
Billy
because
Napier if he plays this week.
this is the same fan base that blamed Todd Grantham for Marco Wilson throwing a shoe, which is why they lost to LSU. Why things fell apart under Dan Mullen. So it's in their nature. Last one, Wrighster wrong. A fan is Wrighster or wrong for giving up their shot at $25,000 to troll their rival. And what I'm talking about here is the the
Oh, you talking about that
University of
kick?
Missouri fan, yes, who painted FKU on his chest and instead of kicking the goal, kicked the ball at the University of Kansas sideline, and then held up his shirt to display FKU to the entire Kansas team.
And so did he get the $25,000 back?
Well, he didn't kick the field goal. It would have been for making the field goal.
So no, I'm saying
If he was to open a GoFundMe, I'm sure they would do more than that.
so here first of all, I love it. I love it because he cares about something bigger than himself. This is amazing. Like how many times in life are people going to forego potential personal gain to stand on business, to stand on principles? I love this with every bone in my body because that means that this man loves his team. He is passionate about his team. He is in on it. What more could you possibly want out of your player, Ralph? What more could you, I mean, sorry, out of a fan? He was like, F you and committed. That's commitment. I love it. And that's exactly what we need out of college football fans. Could you imagine a world where like where Manchester United and they offered that to a fan to kick a goal for 25,000 euros and then they were playing against Man City? Do you think that they would do that, or do you think that they would do exactly what this man did?
You're right.
This is why college
See,
football is the greatest sport in the world.
I thought you'd like this because you run a YouTube channel called The Unafraid Show. People should definitely subscribe to it, and we'll name him. He's welcome on the show anytime. Carter Airy, you sir are definitely unafraid.
Yes, you sir
Definitely
are
unafraid.
definitely unafraid. We love it.
He's one of us. Let's go ahead and get into the three things that we are looking forward to in week 3. For me, I'll just rattle them off. Is Laramie, Wyoming still does it still have the juice? It never really had the juice against Utah
Yeah.
when they were two Mountain West teams going head to head, and some of the worst losses Wyoming ever took were to. I remember Joe Glenn getting fired after flipping off the entire Utah sideline once Utah was up 50-0 and still throwing the ball. So I'm not looking forward to it. Laramie is a tricky place to play. I don't recommend anybody schedule a game there. However, when you have a running quarterback, sometimes that neutralizes it. So we'll see. We'll see if Laramie is still magic. My number 2 thing, Arizona State going with the 1970s throwback uniforms this week um, against Texas State. Controversial take, George. Everybody loves Sparky. There's always this war of people talking about Sparky or the pitchfork. I like the sunburst. That's my favorite logo. So it's going to be cool to see them
Oh
wear
wow.
that this week. And
You
my
you
last
are
one,
you are a man alone on an island, but okay.
I really am. Well, okay, so here's the deal. I like Sparky, but I live in the South.
Oh yes, you can't wear devils anywhere, because then
Not really. Yeah, it's pretty like Pentecostal environment out here. Like they consider that like I
yeah,
people can say what they want about it, but people think what they think and they believe what they believe. And I am uncomfortable outside my home around people with if I've got Sparky on my clothing
yeah
and
this
stuff like that.
yeah this yeah this devil worshiping Arizona demon liberal out here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's worth it to me to preserve people's comfort it's worth it to me to preserve people's comfort by just wearing the pitchfork or the interlocking AS or the sunbird. That's worth it for me now. Is it worth it for them to not fly a giant Confederate flag in my face? No. But our values are our values. They shouldn't be dependent upon anybody else's. The last thing I have this week is I have been counting down to this all year. It is finally here. Cade Klubnik against Haynes King, maybe the two easiest quarterbacks to root for in all of college football. They are gamers. They will put their body on the line. They actually care. In the era of NIL, you never have to question whether Cade Klubnik or Haynes King are going to go out there and give it their all. And I don't expect it to be pretty. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing those two quarterbacks go head to head in
I
Atlanta.
am too. I'm nervous about that game for Clemson. I am. I'm totally nervous. For me, the things I'm looking forward to is I want to see who's for real. Who's for real in this Notre Dame Texas A&M game? Because the if Notre Dame loses college football playoff, you might as well kiss it goodbye. Kiss it goodbye unless Texas A&M runs through the SEC and Miami runs through the ACC. Like that, those are going to be your only chances. Um, and then my second thing is I don't like this is exposure weekend. Ooh, that's a good theme. Exposure weekend because the next thing is Georgia Tennessee. One of these two teams ain't about that life. This is Georgia's favored by 6.5 or 7.5 points, depending on where you're looking right now. And but Georgia's pass game, oh, so excuse me, Georgia's run game last week wasn't exactly what it needed to be. I think they threw the ball like damn near 40 times, or it's confusing what has been going on offensively since Todd Monken left. And so we're gonna see if Georgia is actually good and if Tennessee and Joey Aguilar are actually good. So we are going to. This is a separation type Saturday in the
Can I
SEC.
ask you a question just as somebody who thinks about these salary cap issues and
Yeah,
stuff in college football all the time, and you stay very in tune with the way that the NFL salary cap is structured and everything like that? Not really things I spend a bunch of time and energy on or really understand all that much, but I know people in the NFL are always very hesitant to pay running backs. Do you think that mindset should maybe not apply to college football?
yes, correct.
Because you're
Because a
getting them in
special
their
back
best
in college
years.
football is a special. It is a like when you put a special back, like when you put, but it's the same in the NFL. If you put Saquon Barkley and he's healthy on a team, it's legendary. Same thing in college football. When you put a special back on a team, it like elevates the team to a different level. Like if Oregon had Bucky Irving last year, it's a different team, and they were number one in the nation for more than the whole for half the season. Changes everything.
So you think some of these running backs should be getting a pretty big chunk of
Um,
what that allotment is?
no, because of their injury risk, and they always get they just go down so at such a high clip that I think it's not fiscally responsible to do that.
I was just interested. It's interesting watching the because Georgia has the opportunity to be stamped, truly stamped. Like I think people believe Kirby Smart is the guy now that Saban is gone. I think they think he's the guy, but no one would even have to think if he won a third. It
Yes.
wouldn't be a matter of debate or anything like that. And I worry that without the run game that they had in the Stetson Bennett years, that maybe that third one might not happen. All right, what's your last thing of the week?
My last thing of the week is, oh, man, I want to see if and you touched on this game. I want to see can Clemson fix it. The first 2 weeks on their offensive line have been so pitiful. Like I just want to be done with this Clemson thing. Either go back to believing that they are a national championship team, or just throw them in the trash for the rest of the year and then figure something else out. Because they are this loss away from being last year's Florida State. Now, granted, they won't go 2-10 because the bottom just doesn't fall out of places with good culture. But geez, Louise, it could get real sticky.
This is very true. This is very true. Any honorable mentions? Any honorable mentions for the
Man.
upcoming week? Your boy Brennan Marion got a quarterback controversy, possibly, maybe.
Oh, he definitely does. That is over there, and he's talking about over there at Sacramento State with Brendan with Jaden Rashada, who was named the starter. I was told that he only had one bad day of practice the entire camp. Came out, had a rough week 1. Week 2, he got hit, got taken out of the game, and in a close game, got held out for air quote precautionary reasons while the backup came in and went 11 for 13 and had a good game, but you held him out for precautionary reasons. He still was on the sideline with his helmet on, and they didn't take his helmet, so he didn't have a concussion, even though he got checked for a concussion. And now, yes, you have a problem on your you got a situation on your hands. So listen, it is rough on first year coaches a lot of times. So Godspeed, Brennan. Godspeed.
And for me, I said something to you on the phone this week that I want to repeat because it actually applies to that Sac State quarterback situation and to everybody who has a running quarterback, whether you're University of Ohio with Parker Navarro or Arizona State with Sam Levitt. Some players are electric.
I was going to get that quarter, Gronowski. They are going to get Gronowski hurt.
Yeah, dude, that man might die on the field for Iowa's sins. Oh, man. Who is the best quarterback in college football right now? To you, if you had to win a game on somebody's arm. Sawyer Robertson?
Oh, on their arm? Yes. I'm giving it to Sawyer. Yeah.
Okay. What would he throw?
Because I was trying to think of
Skyhawk?
People who have played high leverage games and been really good in that. So, and he's played 2 high leverage games already. So, yeah, I'm giving it to Sawyer.
Okay, so you put Sawyer Robertson in that Iowa offense in the Cyhawk rivalry game. How many yards does he throw for in a Kirk Ferentz run offense?
132.
That's pretty good. That's actually pretty good because, as you pointed out this week, they needed 66 passing yards in the second half of that game to average 100 a game over their last 5.
And they failed.
And they did fail. This is an organizational issue. But I do want to say, like, there's a lot of running quarterbacks out there, and they can be electric, but so are downed power lines. Like, electricity is not always a good thing. Sometimes it can be dangerous. Sometimes you go out there and do too much. So you do need to be able to release the football, to throw to receivers if you want your offense to be maximized.
Through 2 games, Gronowski he's thrown 39 pass attempts. He's completed 21. So he's a little over 50% at 53.8%. 127 passing yards.
What is that per attempt? 2.5?
That's like 3 and some change per attempt.
Suboptimal. Shout out to Iowa. I don't know how they do it, and they stay competitive. They almost won that game.
Yep.
They were averaging less than 4 yards a play going into the fourth quarter, had a chance to win it.
Yep, and Kirk Ferentz is criminally wrong for this, but that's a whole nother thing. It is he needs to adapt. He's too good of a head coach to be in this situation. But
if you put Kirk Ferentz at Oklahoma State for that Oregon game, so if he just got the 1 week of practice, leading up to that Oregon game with Oklahoma State's roster, what do you think the difference would have been? If we're assigning a numerical value to Mike Gundy being checked out. Yeah. Or just give him the full season from the beginning of the season, and then Oklahoma State goes into Eugene. Yeah. So Kirk Ferentz at head coach, because it was a 66-point loss, right? Could have been worse. It could have been 49. They could have scored 100.
52 to 12. All right.
This is the
Well,
perfect time for your camera to die.
yes. And you guys, this is the College Football Apostles. Peace out. Catch you guys next week.